All right, it's time for 6 points. Let's talk some NFL with Adam from Establish the Run. Adam, how you doing today, man?
Doing well. Appreciate you having me on.
All right, I got 6 questions and observations for you, starting out with a fantasy angle here with this first one. Cam Skattebo, week 3 breakout for the Giants. Ashton Jeanty continuing his struggles. Who's your pick for rest of season rankings here between Skattebo and Jeanty?
Oh my gosh.
One.
Are we here already with Jeanty, who was a first-round pick, and Skattebo, who went roughly round 9 or 10? I mean, it makes a big difference that Tyrone Tracy is out with a dislocated shoulder. Looks like it's going to be, I don't know, anywhere from 2 weeks to 6 weeks, sounds like, on Tyrone Tracy. We'll see. Makes a huge difference, right? Because Tyrone Tracy was actually playing ahead of Cam Skattebo, started that game on Sunday night against the Chiefs. And also Tyrone Tracy is a very good pass catcher. He actually played wide receiver in college. So it's big to me that Skattebo not only, of course, is going to get more work now, but those specific passing game role where Skattebo can play very well in the pass game as well, can excel. And the other good thing going on with Skattebo right now, I think, is they get Jackson Dart in there ahead of Russell Wilson. And so the offense, I think, is going to function better. And obviously, more touchdown opportunities is better for the running back who's in there. So I would still take Jeanty ahead of Skattebo pretty clearly. The Raiders, I think, are going to be dedicated to getting Ashton Jeanty 15, 18, 20 carries. And I think they'll get into some better game environments as it goes on here. But yeah, I understand that it's bad on Jeanty right now. I think his biggest issue is that he's not playing in passing situations. They're using Dylan Labby and they're using Zamir White in these long down and distance situations, 2-minute drill, 4-minute drill, 3rd and 6. Jeanty's not in there. And when you're on a bad team and you have a bad offensive line, you need to be in there for those little quick hitters, those swing passes. So I think Jeanty will eventually get there, but they're just not comfortable with him in there right now for that. But yeah, I still think pretty easily Jeanty over Skattebo just on raw talent, team dedication. But certainly Skattebo is a big riser right now.
I think that's very fair with Jeanty, of course. I mean, at this point, he has the volume, he has the raw talent, and he still was a first-round pick for a reason when you're betting on his upside. I mean, it is interesting with him right now. He's pretty much getting nearly, 25.7 PPR points for Jeanty to 40.9 for Skattebo so far through 3 weeks. But Ryan McFadden had a good post on X where he said how Ashton Jeanty has been hit at or behind the line of scrimmage on 11 of his 17 rushes versus Washington. That's now 57% of his rush attempts for the entire season. So with Jeanty, are you betting on the offensive line to improve with him moving forward? Because I think in the back of my mind, Adam, what I'm wondering is he a buy low after 3 weeks, or is he more like a sell before the stock plummets guy for teams? I don't think
you can sell now, right? Like, what are you really going to get for him now? If somebody was trying to give him away, they're 0-3 and they're trying to give him away for someone that I think belongs, desperate. I mean, people are going to be desperate now. I get that. We have seen running backs succeed with bad offensive lines before, right? I don't want to completely excuse what's going on here. Just be like, oh, it's the offensive line. That's it. They're going to get into better game environments. You saw it with Omarion Hampton, who I know we're going to get to in a second. People left him for dead after weeks 1 and 2. Also, sometimes it just takes the right game environment for players to succeed. So I think that the Raiders have to justify using the 6th overall pick, start using him in the pass game, start trying to structure things better. And who knows what's going to happen with Pete Carroll's son, who's the offensive line coach. The Raiders fans are already up in arms. Why do we have Pete Carroll's son as our offensive line coach? Let's get someone more competent in there. So we could see a move there at some point also.
And with Skattebo, you mentioned that Jackson Dart will be starting quarterback for the Giants starting in week 4 over Russell Wilson. What's going to be Skattebo's impact? What's going to be Dart's impact on Skattebo in this Giants offense?
Well, I mean, Russ is just incapable at this point in his career. I mean, he was with the Broncos and he was dreadful, gets run out of here despite them owing a ton of money to Russell Wilson, run out of Pittsburgh, and now run out of New York after just 3 starts. It's clear he can't play anymore, right? He's not a starting quarterback in the NFL anymore. So the unknown with Jackson Dart, just like, hey, maybe he's really good. And obviously that would be really good for the entire offense and Skattebo. Also, if you watch the preseason, I mean, Jackson Dart was, and I know people hate when we talk about preseason because it's meaningless. They're playing against dudes who are going to be packing groceries at Target next week or whatever. Jackson Dart played against the Bills starters and shredded. I mean, shredded. And like he had 75 preseason snaps and they were really, really impressive stats. So it doesn't mean it's going to carry over, but it's at least a good sign. And from what I saw with Jackson Dart in the preseason, it's like if he can play anywhere close to that, it's going to be great for Cam Skattebo. I will say that Russ Wilson's target rate at running back is among the league's highest. And so I'm not sure it's going to be sticky to Skattebo here, but he is a very good pass catcher. So I do think pass catching will be okay, if not good, for Skattebo here going forward.
I mean, anything is going to be better than what Russell Wilson did that final drive, just throwing the ball away, the intentional grounding. That was one of the most perplexing series of plays I've ever seen. What the hell was going on, Adam?
Yeah, no, he just can't play anymore, you know, and the Seahawks, even going back to, he had an incredible run with the Seahawks. And I was like shocked when they let him go, but they knew, you know, I mean, they knew, they were on it. The Seahawks, this was a long time ago where they just basically let Russell Wilson go. And yeah, they were right.
All right, second point here. Jonathan Taylor off to an absolutely sensational start this season. I was a dummy and took Josh Jacobs over him in my league. I'm regretting that completely right now. Where do you think Jonathan Taylor goes in a redraft? Is he number one at this point?
I believe we had him fourth last week in our rest of season top 150 rankings. It's hard not to have him first or second right there with guys like Gibbs and Bijan.
Is it just the
Barkley.
Injury concern kind of holding him back from being that right now?
I don't think so. I just think those guys are also awesome, right? Like, what holes can I poke in Bijan Robinson or Jahmyr Gibbs? Also, yeah, Jonathan Taylor's playing more snaps as you see on your screen there, but the role for Bijan and Gibbs as a pass catcher is better than it is for JT. I will say this is a change for what we've seen in JT's career. For his career, he has typically been a two-down back, more of a Derrick Henry type of back than the full, hey, we're going to play him 95% of the snaps. He's going to run 70%, 80% of the routes. We're going to design plays to get him the ball in space and screens. That is not the way that JT's been used for most of his career. This is the first year that it is happening, and it is incredible because he is an explosive talent. If you watch that 46-yard touchdown run in week 3, you watch some of the runs he had last year, even the one that he dropped at the end zone before he was going in. I mean, guys do not touch the ball in the NFL that often, 25, 28 times, and also have this crazy explosive ability. We see it with Saquon. We see it sometimes with Derrick Henry when the Ravens have a good lead in a game. But like even Gibbs is giving up work and some other guys like that. Almost everybody else is giving up some work if they are this explosive. So it is an outrageous setup for JT. And you mentioned the offensive line with the Raiders. Colts offensive line is absolutely balling out right now. So I think that this can actually sustain for Jonathan Taylor for the whole season.
All right, number 3, Calvin Ridley this year, only 8 catches on 21 targets for 111 yards through 3 weeks so far. Is it going to be this bad all year with Calvin Ridley?
I don't think so. They have had some brutal matchups. Like, I don't know who came up with this schedule for Cam Ward. He has 4 of the toughest defenses in the NFL to start, and he hasn't had J.C. Latham, his right tackle, and they were missing Kevin Zeitler in week 3. So it's been absolutely brutal. Bill Callahan, Brian Callahan, giving up play calling duties to the quarterback's coach here. God, you know, will that matter? It can't hurt because right now they are the worst offense in the entire NFL. I still think Calvin Ridley's usage has been good. He's out there for almost every single route. And if you actually watch, like Cam Ward, he flashes some things that are really exciting. It's just been such a mess lately with, or at least his whole NFL career in terms of matchups, offensive line play. So I think they're going to settle down the offensive line. Cam Ward's going to settle down. They're going to get better matchups, and Calvin Ridley is their best wide receiver. So yeah, I think that it's going to be okay for Calvin Ridley. Not as excited as I was about him before the season, and I was excited about him, but it's going to be okay, I think.
I made Calvin Ridley my keeper in my league because I'm a dumbass. And my hopium or copium so far is if you look at the players, the 6 wide receivers with 21 targets on the year so far, Calvin Ridley is a big outlier here in terms of production. 8 catches, the lowest of the 6 players with 21 targets, 111 yards, the lowest, 19.1 PPR points, by far the lowest. Egbuka has 51, Deebo Samuel 44.9, Cortland Sutton 43.5, Lad McConkey 31.3, Jerry Jeudy 23.4. Calvin Ridley, I just can't see it being this bad all year long, especially like you said with the flashes Cam Ward has had. Maybe this is just me just with some hopium here, but I just don't see how it's this bad, even if it's not as exciting as I might have hoped.
Sure. And they're going to have better matchups. Not this week, though. They're at the Texans this week. We'll see if Derek Stingley's able to play. He got hurt in week 3. But after that, he starts to get softer, right? You get the Cardinals, you get the Raiders, you get the Patriots. They have a game against the Saints in fantasy championship week 17. So I don't want to give up on Calvin Ridley, but my outlook for him has definitely shifted from before the season, mostly because the Titans just look so dysfunctional. Even if I think it's going to get better, I can't deny it's been so dysfunctional.
And he has competition for targets as well. And that's part of it with Ridley. Next point here, number 4, the Eagles. They had a 19-point comeback against the Rams. Miracle at the Meadowlands 2, people calling it. In this game, Jalen Hurts, after barely throwing the ball downfield at all, had a much, much better performance. What were some of your key takeaways on the Eagles side with this comeback that they had, especially with Jalen Hurts?
Yeah, no surprise whatsoever. When the Eagles get down and Jalen Hurts is forced to throw, he is a very good thrower and can support multiple fantasy wide receivers. Like, it's clear. Anytime, look back at the Super Bowl. Jalen Hurts has been dominant in Super Bowls as a thrower. So I always thought this was the case. I thought they were playing too conservative in weeks 1 and 2, kind of playing to tush push, playing with a lack of aggression out of fear of mistakes, right? Because when you have such a good team, they have the most talented roster in the NFL. They have an amazing defense. They have an amazing run game and offensive line. When you have that, why take risks, right? And so they play extremely conservative and try not to make mistakes, which I actually think is fine to try to win. However, maybe this game against the Rams was a wake-up call. Like, if we try to play this conservative game style, we're going to get down 26-7 to good teams like we did to the Rams in some instances, and we're going to have to, block a field goal at the end to win games. So my hope that this was actually a wake-up call for the Eagles. Hey, we need to start playing more aggressively. We cannot play just to set up tush pushes. We cannot play just to not make mistakes, because when we play good teams like the Rams, we play the Bucs this week, you're going to have big games in the playoffs. You need to be able to score aggressively. So I kind of think it's a wake-up call for the Eagles, and I always thought that they had it in them. Like, panicking after 2 weeks was warranted only if you thought they'd just dominate every single game and never have to throw again. And obviously in the NFL, crazy things happen and that's unrealistic. But like I said, even in like normal games now, I kind of think that hopefully this will wake them up to be more aggressive.
It's just an awesome game, man. Like, it's just such a fun game to watch. And with Jalen Hurts, I mean, I do understand some of the criticisms of him, but when I watch this dude, I see an elite game manager when he's asked to do that, and a guy who can step up in the moments that he has to as well and be a downfield thrower. Why do they not let him do that all the time? I wonder. I mean, like, do you have any theories of why they don't always play with that aggression?
Yeah, I just think that they think they have one of the best defenses in the NFL. They have one of the best offensive lines and maybe the best run game or one of the best run games. So why force it?
Like, minimize risk, essentially.
Yeah, and they've won something crazy, like 17 of 18 games or something crazy. So, playing this style, why change it? But like I said, like in the Super Bowl, they changed it. They came out very aggressive in the Super Bowl, knowing they had to score points to beat Patrick Mahomes. So the game plan can vary from week to week, I think, based on opponent a lot for the Eagles.
All right, number 5, Omarion Hampton had 19 carries for 70 yards, 6 catches for 59 yards. What fueled his breakout performance?
Yeah, well, At the time of Najee Harris's injury in this game, and Najee Harris was lost for the season with a torn Achilles, Najee had 6 opportunities, and Omarion Hampton only had 5. So what fueled it was Najee Harris getting hurt, right? And like people are going to try to tell you otherwise, that Omarion Hampton was on his way to breaking out anyways. Maybe, but we'll never know now. We'll never know. The way I was seeing it was going to devolve into more of a 60-40, 65-35 in favor of Hampton over Najee. Now that Najee is out, I mean, my God, Omarion Hampton might be a borderline first-round pick if we were drafting today, because Justin Herbert is playing at an MVP level. This offense is going to score a ton of points. They're being extremely pass-heavy, which you might think isn't great for running backs, but it is when your running back is very good in the pass game, as Omarion Hampton is, and they're just going to generate a lot of red zone and scoring opportunities. So, I mean, Omarion Hampton was a first-round pick for a reason in the real NFL draft. Behind him now is going to be guys like Hassan Haskins, a special teamer, Kimani Vidal. Maybe they'll pick someone up off the street. But I could see, I think we will see Omarion Hampton touch the ball 15 to 20 times a game for one of the best offenses in the NFL. And it's just like really hard to fail when you have that kind of usage.
Putting aside the Madison Beer X factor with Justin Herbert, what's been different with Justin Herbert this season?
He's always been so good, man. Last year he battled a plantar fascia injury, which I think limited some of his mobility. He wasn't running as much, but you saw late last year, final 5 or 6 games, they went to this really throw heavy philosophy, did the Chargers, and you start to see Justin Herbert do really special things. And then this year it's just continued. He's been 100% healthy. You see him being really mobile. Arm strength has always been completely off the charts. And he's just a really, really, really good player. Like, to me, him, Josh Allen, and Lamar Jackson are the MVP frontrunners right now. I'd be surprised if anyone else really gets into the mix there when it's said and done at MVP.
All right, moving on to number 6, Dak Prescott. Is it time to dump him in fantasy? Because I have him as my quarterback. This is a selfish question here. He's the QB 18 through 3 weeks. CD Lamb out at this point. Is it time to move on from Dak Prescott in fantasy?
Yeah, I mean, you saw the thesis for Dak Prescott hit in week 2. Their defense is so bad, and their run game, could turn. I thought it was going to be worse than it's been. It's been okay with Javonte Williams, but now they have 2 offensive line injuries as well. Booker and Beebe are both down. So you saw the thesis play out in week 2. Don't run the ball that well. Defense is terrible. Dak drops back like 50-something times. He has CeeDee Lamb. He has George Pickens. The problem now is without CeeDee Lamb, there is a huge hole. I have not been that impressed with George Pickens. They have Kevontae Turpin. They have Jalen Tolbert. They have Jake Ferguson. They don't have like big time playmakers here anymore. And so I think Dak, anytime you take a quarterback in a single quarterback league at like quarterback 8 or quarterback 10 or later, it's always fine to just stream, Like, there's probably quarterbacks on waivers. Each week play the right matchups. If Dak has a great matchup, I'd be fine streaming him in even without CD, but you can probably find better matchups. You certainly can this week as Dak faces the Packers. And no, I would not want to start Dak here against the Packers with no Lamb, maybe no Booker, no BB, etc.
I might just roll the dice with Jackson Dart if I can get him off of waivers.
Yeah,
I'll just go.
I mean, that's a risky one, but there's probably other guys too. Like, who knows? Like Daniel Jones, Justin Fields.
Nope.
And you can only start one quarterback.
Mm-hmm. Yep, only can start one quarterback. My league is a
they
bunch
just
of people
hoard quarterbacks.
No reason. Just drop him. Give him to me.
I think that people do that because like their quarterbacks' names are like the ones they know. But for anyone out there who's like, if you have Josh Allen or Lamar Jackson, there's just no reason to carry a backup quarterback.
100%.
Like you should be stashing backup running backs. Like say you were stashing, say you had Lamar Jackson, you're stashing a quarterback instead of Trey Benson. You would feel like such an idiot right now because Trey Benson is suddenly like a top 20 or top 30 player. And all it took was one James Conner injury where whatever quarterback that you have on your bench, if Josh Allen or Lamar Jackson gets hurt, great, you have a quarterback, but you just stream someone. You could just stream someone and find something reasonable. So my bench in season long leagues, is mostly backup running backs that are one injury away from being like a top 30 player.
All right, that's our 6 points. We're going to go for 2 here. Number 7, who do you predict is leading the waiver wire after week 4? So we're looking ahead a week now. Who should I be getting ahead of? If I miss out on every waiver this week, who should I be trying to sign ahead of time?
Yeah. It's a difficult question. It's interesting. I would say 2 guys. Maybe this is too far off the board. 2 guys that came to mind for me were Woody Marks, the pass down back for the Houston Texans. I'm worried the Texans are just like, their offense is just toast. I mean, worst offensive line in the NFL, with all due respect to the Raiders. Pass game looks broken other than Nico Collins. But this past week, Dameon Pierce was a healthy scratch. Dare Ogunbowale played 0 offensive snaps. That allowed Woody Marks to play a ton behind Nick Chubb. And I don't really think Nick Chubb can play anymore either. And so you can really squint and see a path here to Woody Marks playing a ton down the stretch. Now, what is that worth on the Texans? I'm not sure. But if you're in a league where it's deep, I like having Woody Marks on my bench. The other guy that came to mind was this tight end from the Chargers, Oronde Gadsden. Will Dissly was hurt and out last week, and you saw Gadsden make 5 catches. I don't know what's going to happen when Will Dissly comes back, but Gadsden was also flashing big time in the offseason, had some real nice showings in practices and in preseason games. And so you can see down the stretch, you have a Chargers team is passing at the highest rate in the league, adjusted for situation, and you want to have guys in there that are talented. And I do think probably Gadsden is more of a natural talented pass catcher than Will Dissly or Tyler Conklin.
I like those choices. Woody Marks, especially. I drafted him super late, been holding him, hoping it turns into something. But as you said, the Texans offense, and in particular, CJ Stroud, looks so bad, just so awful. I'm just not sure like what the level of real upside is for him. So 100%. I'm going to hang on to him. But at the same time, it's like, I also took Skattebo. I'm very happy with the returns there so far. I have, Tootin from the Jags. I have Ollie Gordon as well. So I'm making an investment there, hoping for a return. Skattebo's providing it. Hopefully that continues. But with Woody Marks, I'm not so certain that's actually going to happen at some point. But he's definitely worth a gamble. Number 8. Sorry, you continue, Adam.
I was just going to say that Woody Marks caught something absurd, like 200 and something receptions as a running back in college for Woody Marks. And anytime I see that, I'm like, gosh, maybe some team sees him as like a 10 carry per game guy. Because if you can get that, then he's going to catch a bunch of passes. It's just going to be natural for him. So, yeah, we'll see.
Exactly. And as you said, they're in need of more pass catching. And maybe Woody Marks becomes essentially their second receiver. So that's a real possibility with him. And number 8, just in general, what game are you most excited for in week 4?
Yeah, it is this Rams Colts game. I can't believe I'm saying this. Before the season, I never would have thought that Rams Colts was the most exciting game of week 4, but I am real curious to see how Daniel Jones and Jonathan Taylor fare against a very, very good Rams front. I mean, Colts already handled themselves very well against the Broncos, who have one of the best defenses in the league. Rams defense is going to be another very tough test here. So I think that's a really, really interesting spot. And then on the Rams side, all of this talk around Matthew Stafford's back just dominated the headlines in August. They even give him like quarterback sneaks. Like if he had a hurt back, they're out here giving him sneaks. So I don't know. It was like a misinformation campaign or something, but he looks very, very fine. And he only throws to 2 guys. I mean, like 67%, 68% of his passes go to Puka Nacua or Devontae Adams, which is going to break. It's going to break records. He just throws these guys on every play. So it's so when you're playing DFS or anything like that, it's so valuable to know if Matthew Stafford hits, what does that look like? And we know what it looks like. He's going to throw to 2 guys, and Kyren is probably going to get there as well when the Rams play well. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that game for sure.
Yeah, that's going to be an awesome game at the 4:00 slot on Fox. Then on CBS, Baltimore, Kansas City. One of those teams is going to be 1-3 to start the year. Lamar Jackson or Patrick Mahomes. You think for sure the Chiefs will be?
They have been struggling for a long time on offense when they do not have their weapons. Maybe they get Xavier Worthy back here, but I've been underwhelmed by Marquise Brown. Travis Kelce looks like he's done, and like they don't get Rashee Rice back until week 7. So it's just hard for me to see the Chiefs scoring enough to keep up with it, but they play so well in Arrowhead. I don't get into who's going to win the games as much. But I do think the Ravens are much, much better than the Chiefs right now.
Do you have any thoughts on what's behind this fumbling issue for Derrick Henry? Just bad luck, or is there something?
Randomness?
Just
Yeah,
random?
yeah,
Just random?
yeah. I think so. I think so. I mean, he doesn't have a really a history of fumbling, and randomness. I think.
You think if there's an owner in a fantasy league who's panicking over Derrick Henry, thinking, "Oh, I drafted an old guy, he's washed up," is it a time to buy low, take advantage of that owner?
I think so. Just on touchdowns, like Derrick Henry is so unlike the Eagles who tush push. Lamar Jackson, if they get to the 1 yard line, hands the ball to Derrick Henry, and so his touchdown expectation is just so high. So in standard leagues, non PPR or half PPR, I would be buying on Derrick Henry. Full PPR, you could convince me otherwise, but non and half PPR, the touchdowns are just so valuable.
Yeah, I'm with you there with him. I wish I could have drafted Derrick Henry at this point. In full PPR, he's just not a pass catcher.
Yeah.
But I'd buy low on him if the opportunity comes with the Chiefs. It is fascinating, man. Like the Chiefs have the Ravens this week. 1-3 for them. It's very, very possible that with their schedule moving forward, they have Jacksonville in week 5, but then they have Detroit, Vegas, Washington, Buffalo, all leading up to their week 10 bye. There's a lot of tough games, like in the first 9 weeks of the season for them.
You remember last year, they were like something crazy. I don't have the exact stat in front of me, like 10-0 or something in one-score games.
Yeah.
It's something crazy. Like, and the idea is that one-score games are kind of random. The ball bounces one way, you miss a field goal here, there's a crazy turnover here. They're close games. You're supposed to win like 50% of your one-score games. The Chiefs won every single one. And I do think there's a skill there, right? Mahomes has a skill of executing the right plays down the stretch. However, it coming back to bite them, like they're going to get into one-score games and they're going to lose some of them this year. It's just going to regress some. So, yeah, I don't think this is like a new thing where, oh my God, they're 1-3. They easily could have been 500 last year if they just didn't run as well in one-score games. So, yeah, we'll see.
Pretty crazy. Adam, please let people know where they can find all your stuff.
Yeah, if this is on YouTube, which I presume that it is, yes. You can search for us on YouTube, Establish the Run. Everything is free on our YouTube, so you can see what we're have going on there. And then if you are on the Twitter machine, which is if you're serious about fantasy football, you do have to be on Twitter at Adam Levitan, all one word. You can find me there.
Adam, appreciate you so much for joining me today, man. Keep up the great work.
Thank you. Appreciate you having me.